Welcome to my YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we will talk about the most evil dictators in history. 10. Yakubu Gowon, 1.1 in deaths. It starts as many sad stories, due with precious beautiful oil. It had been found in the Niger Delta, where tensions were already high between the eastern region, led by Ojukwu, and the rest of the country, governed by Yakubu. A dummy agreement was signed between them called the Aburi Accord, but it meant nothing to either leader. Yakubu started to put pressure on the region and tested how much sway he had in the area versus Ojukwu. Well, Ojukwu, being no slouch, declared secession from the rest of Nigeria and became the Republic of Biafra. 9. Mengistu Haile Mariam, 400k 1.5 m deaths. Mengistu Haile Mariam is, as in still alive, a politician who presided over Ethiopia from 1974 to 1991. The way he got into power was by smothering the previous president Haile Selassie, although he has denied those rumors. His biggest claim to fame is the Ethiopian Red Terror, which was a campaign of repression led by the Derg communist militia in Ethiopia. 8. Kim Il-sung, 1.6 m deaths. Before our very own Kim Jong-il was his murderous father Kim Il-sung, who led North Korea in a terrible direction. He fought for a command economy that allowed the government to make all decisions for the country. For various reasons, the people never seemed to love the man, and so his hold on power was tenuous at best. Like most crazies, he blamed somebody else, in this case, the USA, and said they had spread disease throughout its population. He also pulled a Stalin and had large-scale purges. His underlying reason was that it would scare people into believing he was telling the truth. Kim's purge was a little different than Stalin's, though, in that there were no trials. 7. Pol Pot, 1.7 m deaths. Pol Pot was the leader of the communist movement in Cambodia. He attempted to cleanse the country, and it resulted in the death of an estimated 1.7 to 2.5 million people. There was an interesting policy going around called agrarian collectivization, which he put into practice in the late 1970s. Basically, it forced city folk to head out to the farms to do some labor and vice versa for farmers. As you might guess, and hindsight is 20/20, neither group was very good at their new jobs. Pol didn't stop at enslaving his own people, though. He also didn't feed them well, gave them little medical care, and executed many of them. The net result was killing off approximately 1/5 of the Cambodian population. 6. Ismail Enver Pasha, 2.5 m deaths. He began his career as a Turkish military officer and leader in the Young Turk Revolution. Eventually, he rose to power and led the Ottoman Empire in both the Balkan Wars and World War I. As a war minister, Enver was not very useful and was defeated over and over. His crushing loss at the Battle of Sarikamish needed a scapegoat, and that's when he decided to blame Armenians for the failure. That is what began what is now known as the Armenian Genocide. The word genocide was coined to describe this event. 5. Hideki Tojo, 5 m deaths. Hideki Tojo was a general in the Imperial Japanese Army. He assumed the position of Prime Minister and held Army Minister concurrently. As if that wasn't enough, he also held other major positions like Home Minister, Foreign Minister, Education Minister, and Commerce Minister. His major contributions to education were teaching militaristic and nationalist indoctrination. His version of Homeland Security was approving eugenics measures, which essentially made a distinction between pure blood and mixed blood Japanese families. 4. Leopold H of Belgium, 215 m deaths. Leopold H was the king of the Belgians and believed in colonialism. He thought acquiring colonies overseas was essential to a great country and was always scheming. The problem was Belgium really didn't care, and so Leopold went into business for himself. He started a company that seemed like it was doing good, called the International African Society. A year later, he used that company to travel to Congo, laid claim to a plot of land 14 times the size of Belgium, and made 14 countries agree, USA included, that he was free to rule it with his own private militia. He then forced the indigenous populations into forced labor, created a bustling rubber industry, and abused his workers grievously. 3. Adolf Hitler, 17 deaths. Adolf Hitler was the leader of the Nazi Party. He was the absolute dictator of Germany from 1934 to 1945. He gained support by promoting values like German nationalism and anti-Semitism. Hitler was appointed Chancellor in 1933 and began the Third Reich. Hitler was power-hungry as all hell, hated the shit out of Jews and others, and wanted hegemony in Europe. The militarization that was needed to complete such a lofty goal led to the outbreak of World War II. Nazi forces engaged in the systematic murder of as many as 17 million civilians, an estimated 6 million of whom were Jews, and 1.5 million Romanis. 2. Joseph Stalin, 23 deaths. Joseph Stalin was the first secretary of the Communist Party from 1922 to 1953. After Lenin's death in 1924, he became the leader of the Soviet Union. Stalin didn't take long in launching a new economy that screwed up food production across the country, so bad it caused massive famine. Between 1922 to 23, it reached such catastrophic proportions, everything went to shit. In Ukraine, this dark period is known as Holodomor. It's widely believed that Soviet policies caused the famine there and were designed as an attack on Ukrainian nationalism. Estimates on the total number of casualties within Soviet Ukraine range from 2.6 million to 10 million. During the late 1930s, Stalin launched another wonderfully titled initiative called the Great Purge, also known as the Great Terror. It was a paranoid campaign to kill off the people who opposed him, and his targets were often executed. 1. Mao Zedong, 4978 deaths. Mao Zedong was a Chinese revolutionary political theorist and communist leader who led the People's Republic of China. Mao, while controversial, is still widely considered a savior of the nation. I did a semester abroad in China in 2001 after falling in love with its history, and was surprised in my conversations that many people thought Mao had done 70%. 80% good things. During his first 5 years, from 1949-53, he is said to have systematically killed between 4 to 6 million people by sentencing them to die, or by sending them to reform through labor camps. He organized mass repressions, established execution quotas, and defended his actions in these early years as necessary for securing power for the People's Republic of China. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.